So let's welcome Natalia, Flow State. Flow State, Natalia.
Thank you, Mrs. Toastmaster, Toastmasters, and fellow guests. It's February 2020, and the borders are closed due to a global pandemic. But I must feed my travel bug. So I decide to take an essential trip to Whistler, BC. Normally, when it's cold, I go somewhere warm. But everywhere warm is off limits. So I decide to visit my very first real mountain out west. My stoke level is pretty high. I'm sitting on the gondola going up and up into the clouds. I actually got off earlier thinking I was at the top. Turns out that was the beginner exit. I wasn't even close to the halfway mark. I'm sitting there, I'm looking out the window, and all I see is white caps as far as the horizon goes. The mountains are so big, and I am going to the top of my very own mountain. Wow, just looking, it's just absolutely breathtaking. I get to the summit, get out of the gondola, I grab my snowboard, and I go to the edge of the mountain. I am just in awe of all the natural beauty. Never have I felt so small and insignificant. I put my board down, strap in, one binding at a time. Goggles down, take my phone out, play some Red Hot Chili Peppers, because what else do you snowboard to? And away I go. Give it away, give it away, give it away now. Approaching speeds, going fast. I can hear Red Hot Chili Peppers, but I could also hear the wind blowing by. I'm in the zone now, carving, making sure every line is precise as I approach speeds of 100 kilometers an hour. I was in flow state. Have any of you ever been in flow state before? Now, you don't have to be bombing down a mountain at 100 kilometers an hour to enter a state of flow. You could be doing something as simple as cooking, playing with your kids, knitting, like the happy hookers. The happy hookers. The ladies that we heard in the other speech that hook. That crochet. Or meditating can get you into a state of flow. So what is flow and how do we achieve it? Flow is a state of mind when we are so focused on an activity that time ceases to exist. It's when we feel effortlessly productive for hours on end and we don't even notice the time going by. Did you know that some of the best NBA teams actually practice being in flow state together to optimize their teams and optimize their plays? It's powerful stuff. The idea of flow was first coined in the 1970s by a Hungarian-American psychologist named Dr. Mihaly. Last name starts with a C. Even though I'm Polish, there's too many skis, there's too many C's, and there's too many Z's. I can't do it. But for today, let's call him Dr. Mihaly. Dr. Mihaly refers to flow as a state of intense and focused concentration on what is occurring in the present moment. When we are experiencing flow, nothing else matters but the task at hand. We lose ourselves in it. There's two working neuroscientific theories on flow state. They involve the prefrontal cortex and dopamine, the happy hormone. Now, before we get into that, I want to point out that flow state is an active state, not a passive state. So we're not going to get into flow state, binge watching Netflix, or taking a bath. Activities that can lead us into flow state are goal-oriented and require us to devote sustained attention and energy. Now let's get back to those two neuroscientific theories. Your prefrontal cortex is a part of the brain that is located right behind your eyes and your forehead. It's the logical part of the brain, the part of the brain that helps us plan for the future or worry about the future. It's there for reasoning, controlling our impulses. Oh, and a lot of the times, it stresses us out. One team of researchers noticed that our prefrontal cortex is less active when we are in flow state. It bypasses our logical part, the part that tells us we're not good enough, or the part that tells us we're not qualified to do a certain task. The other theory about flow and the brain involves our reward circuit and dopamine, the feel-good neurochemical. We could all use a little bit more dopamine. This theory speaks to the noted increases in dopamine among those in the zone, suggesting that this state of mind stimulates the reward systems of our brain, which encourages us to carry out these activities, rewarding us by doing so by stimulating the release of dopamine, the happy hormone. After becoming a member of Toastmasters, I became recognizing that I was in the flow state when I started writing my speeches. Even now, when I present, I'm recognizing that I'm in the state of flow. My prefrontal cortex, that logical part of my brain that tells me that I can't do this, or that part that is so concerned that I may screw up, is quiet. Now, when I write, the whole world disappears. It's just me and my laptop, and my thoughts flying through my fingertips, morphing into a surprisingly pretty well-written speech. Now, when I come up here, my internal voice is no longer doubting me. It's just me and my flow delivering the message I came up here to say. Is there any way you could tap in to your flow to help you perfect your speechcraft? For some of us, it might not be possible to tap into our flow when we're writing a speech or presenting a speech. And that's okay. But I encourage each of you to take some time and think about if there's any other activities that you could be doing more of in your life to take advantage of the psychological benefits of being in flow state. May flow state flow for each and every one of you.
This evening is Liz Job, who's going to evaluate Natalia Jackson. Please welcome Liz.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam General Evaluator, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. When Natalia first came to Toastmasters, I remember her saying, "I have a fear of public speaking." Last week, Lisa had a speech about facing your fears and doing it anyway. And that was very apparent with your speech today that you're making a lot of progress since you've been here. Right away, you got my attention because I was interested. Flow state, what does this mean? This is going to be a really interesting topic. Your vocal variety was exceptional, and your body language, you got down here, and it was like we're all buckling up our snowboard. That was exceptionally done. The content of the speech was very interesting and very well put together. But yeah, from your hand gestures to your entire body language, you made excellent eye contact with the entire room. I had trouble trying to find something for growth, but maybe just shorten it up a little bit because it was just over time. But otherwise, I think you met your objectives in this speech, and I think it was a really interesting topic to learn about. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Next up.